One person was killed and 4 were injured after a Russian ballistic missile attack on Kyiv in the early hours of Wednesday. A 9-year-old girl is among the wounded. Residential buildings as well as offices were damaged in several districts.
We work here. I was home during the air raid alert. When it was over, I went to work. I came here and I saw what had happened. There are no windows, everything is broken. It is horrible.
Russia launched 6 Iskander and ballistic missiles at Kyiv, all of them intercepted and destroyed by Ukrainian defenders. However, falling debris caused damage to buildings, with the city administration reporting fires in 4 districts.
There were explosions the whole morning. Then I got a call from the office security. They said our windows and doors were blown out. Everything is ruined.
As a result of the Russian missile attack, offices of state-owned international broadcasting channels were damaged. However, they are able to continue their work from a backup studio. In total, Moscow troops launched 7 ballistic missiles overnight, as well as 123 attack and decoy drones on Ukraine. Without Ukraine, Europe would be completely occupied by Russia if Moscow decided to do so. President Zelenskyy stated as much during an interview with The Guardian. He warned the British newspaper that this ambition is the only thing floating in Putin's head.
I'm sure that NATO is as interested in Ukraine as Ukraine is in the alliance. It all boils down to having an army that's bigger than your opponent. And at the moment, the combined forces of Ukraine and its allies in Europe are smaller than Russia's. And I think it's very important because our defense intelligence reports that the Kremlin will be only enlarging its forces by 2025 by 12-15 divisions, which means 150,000 troops.
Zelenskyy doubled down that it's in the best interest of the North Atlantic Alliance to have Ukraine on its side. According to him, without Ukraine, Putin's army outnumbers Europe 3-1, and should he wish to, a new full-scale invasion could start west of Ukraine.
If they start military training in Belarus, the Russians with the Belarusians, then that was how the full-scale invasion started in Ukraine back in 2022. If they train there in summer or fall 2025, I believe after that they can be ready to start a full-scale invasion. And at this point, I have a question. Who says they will start a full-scale invasion of Ukraine? They can start in Poland, in Lithuania. They can start that.
The Rammstein format meeting has started in Brussels, the first to be led by the UK Defence Secretary John Healey. According to the Ukrainian Minister of Defense, today's agenda includes supplying military assistance to Ukraine this year, as well as accelerating deliveries of critical weapons such as air defense, aviation and ammunition. The Ukraine Defense Contact Group, which unites nearly 50 nations, will also discuss investments in the Ukrainian defense industry and common projects with European partners.
We must step up further to strengthen Ukraine, to pressure Putin, to secure peace. And today I've announced an extra £150 million in new firepower, tanks, artillery, air-to-air missiles, and new contracts for repairs to crucial kit in Ukraine.
This meeting will be the first for the new U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
We are at, as you said, Mr. Secretary, a critical moment. As the war approaches its 3rd anniversary, our message is clear. The bloodshed must stop, and this war must end.
Latvia will deliver 42 Patria 6x6 armored personnel carriers to Ukraine this year. Most of them will be newly manufactured. This was reported by the Latvian public broadcaster with a link to the Ministry of Defense of Latvia. Its chief Andris Spruce stated that while Riga had previously supported Ukraine using existing stockpiles, this year the government must allocate new funds and directly purchase military equipment. He also emphasized that acquiring weaponry from domestic manufacturers not only supports Kyiv, but also strengthens Latvia's defense industry. The Patria 6x6 is a modular, all-terrain armored personnel carrier designed for troop transport and battlefield support. Developed by a Finnish defense firm, it features ballistic and mine protection and compatibility with various weapons and communication systems. President Zelenskyy stated in an interview with The Guardian that if negotiations with Russia's self-proclaimed President Putin were to take place, he would propose exchanging Ukrainian-controlled areas of Russia's Kursk region for temporarily occupied Ukrainian territories.
I can't say which one. All our territory must be liberated. They are all important. There are not such priorities that one is more important than the other.
Meanwhile, Russian state media outlet TASS reported that Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov claimed during a press briefing on Wednesday that Russia has never and will never discuss exchanging its territories. Ukraine has adjusted its military strategy, shifting from forming new brigades to reinforcing existing ones. This was reported by the deputy head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, Pavlo Pavlisa, in an interview with We Ukraine Media. He announced that the staff made the decision to prioritize integrating new personnel into battle-tested units rather than assembling new formations from scratch.
The main efforts are now focused on replenishing existing brigades, those that are already working on the front line. Those brigades that have already been formed or are in the final stages of formation will continue to be trained.
This shift aims to enhance combat effectiveness by placing new soldiers in proven, structured environments rather than in hastily assembled units. To change the trajectory of the Russian war against Ukraine, NATO allies have to do even more than they've done. This was reported by the NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte ahead of a gathering of NATO Ministers of Defense in Brussels. He noted that on Thursday there will be a meeting in the NATO-Ukraine Council with the Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov and EU High Representative Kaja Kallas.
Since 2022, NATO allies have provided Ukraine with unprecedented support, including 99% of all military aid. And we have seen recent additions to this from, let's say, Sweden, Finland, Canada, but also, of course, from France, the Mirages and the F-16s from the Netherlands. But to really change the trajectory of the conflict, we need to do even more. The stronger Ukraine is on the battlefield, the stronger they will be at the negotiating table, the greater the chances of getting a good deal for lasting peace. And that is what we all want for Ukraine, for our shared security, and for our global stability.
Ukrainian Special Operations Forces destroyed a valuable Russian jamming station and a Msta-B howitzer that were working in tandem in the Kursk region of Russia. The first target, Zhytil, is a Russian-made, truck-mounted electronic warfare jamming communication station. Its reported manufacturing value sits at $25.5 million, and its primary use is to interfere with satellite and GPS signals up to 25 kilometers of range, reaching up to 50 in the case of UAVs. The Msta-B, which was reportedly protected by the jamming station, is a 152mm towed howitzer. Although constructed back in the USSR, it remains a high-value target for Ukrainian defenders due to its sheer firepower.